about to launch the event. Apologies for the slight delay. The presentation is actually being rendered now into the Click Meeting desktop. So just asking for 2 minutes if possible. Understand everyone's time is valuable. So just bear with us and we'll get cracking on the 8th AMA. Very exciting evening ahead of the next course of the hour. Going to give you an update on various components of the BlockDAG business, as well as very exciting updates on our travels from Cape Town, South Africa, through to Panama, the USA, as well as then to Dubai, which was just really incredible. So we'll cover that in a minute. I see our presentation now is live, and Anthony will be joining shortly, and we'll take you through the various components of the agenda, as well as then at the end, as you know, an open Q&A. So looking forward to the rest of the evening and presentation. And Lisa, I'm only looking down because I'm just waiting to see on my phone when Anthony is going to be joining. So just in case you're going to prompt me, Nick, look up, look up, look up. So a bit of fun and humor and banter within the office environment tonight. So shouldn't be too long. Thank you again for holding on, and we will be commencing shortly. Although for those of you that are actually at least commenting that I look smart tonight, I've got our, wrong side. I've got our new merchandise on, our blazers, and as well as our polo shirts and various other swag that we've been able to collect now over the last couple of weeks due to all the travels that we've been attending. Various events. As you know, I think from all the social media, we attended the ETH Canal event in Panama, which was an amazing success. I'm going to cover some of the slides shortly. And we made our way through to Token 2049 in Dubai. It was an action-packed few days. So we're about to start shortly. I see Anthony's just joined. Here we go. So we're ready to proceed. Thank you, everybody, again for your patience, and let's kick off to the moon.
Apologies, everyone. Just Nick, are you hearing me there?
Yes, I am loud and clear.
Okay, good. Apologies, everyone. We still seem to have an issue with the slides not showing. Nick, are you seeing any slides there, or is it blank on your side as well?
Yes, I'm seeing the slides. The first slide is up, and everything seems to be in order. 32 slides are locked and loaded.
Okay, they're not showing on my side, but I'll go through them as best I can then. So I'm just going to talk from memory. So yeah, again, apologies for the delays. We had a couple of technical issues. They're still not showing on my side, but let's kick off anyway. Yeah, so this is our 8th AMA. So thanks very much, everyone, for joining us. Great to have you here. We're going to dive straight in. We've got a lot of good stuff to cover. The year is racing on. we've certainly got a lot to do, but I think we've covered a lot, and we'll show you where we are. And Nick's got some really exciting stuff that he's going to take you through as well. I think I mentioned it last time. I've got the more mundane things to cover, although there's some pretty good news around the miners and timing around that. So let's kick off. Sorry, give me a moment. I'm just trying to.
You're on beta testnet.
Yeah, it's just not showing anything, and I can barely see it. Okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna pull up my version of the slide just so I can see what I'm actually on. So if I look off to the side, apologies for that. So yeah, so just a bit of feedback on the beta testnet, as we call it, primordial. We've decided to name all the test nets. So the next one coming along, I'm not sure if the name's been made public, but as soon as we're getting closer to that, we'll let you know what the date is and also what it's going to be called. So currently primordial, it's going very well in terms of the transactions, in terms of how it's functioning. We had an issue with the vesting contract. Anyone who was on the previous AMA would have known that. We had some glitches around deploying it in terms of the sheer size and numbers. And just as a recap, the plan was to preload that with everyone's address and airdrop a certain number of tokens, 10,000 tokens to everyone. So all our token holders were going to get 10,000 testnet tokens, and we were going to distribute them in the same vesting schedule that we have for the live release. We had some issues there, partly linked to the fact that we're using a multi-sig or MPC wallet, and one or two other issues. We've overcome those, but it's sort of it took the wind out of our sails in terms of what we were trying to do, as in give a whole bunch of tokens to everyone and create a bit of a competition around that. So that's why. If you look, you will have all received, I think it's only 1,000 tokens because of some of the issues. They're testnet tokens, you can play with them, but in terms of the competition and the incentives that we're putting out, we're going to delay that until the next testnet. It just doesn't make sense to try and sort of retrofit what we were trying to do then. So all in all, beta testnet going very well, except for the vesting contract. The good news is that's why we have these beta test nets to pick these things up. So I mean, we've learned a lot from it, and obviously, the next time we'll make sure that goes absolutely smoothly. Moving on to the next slide. So pre-sale tokens. There've been a lot of questions around the number of tokens that we've sold and have we hit our token limit. So if you look at the tokenomics that we have, we've allocated 50% to mining, 1% to the team, 33% to the pre-sale, and then an additional percentage, I can't remember exactly what they are, to the community and community initiatives, and then liquidity as well. So in terms of the pre-sale, which is obviously 33%, which is 50 billion tokens, we are within that. Obviously, having allocated the 150% for early investors, that's quite a chunk of tokens, and that is around about 14 billion tokens. So that's taken quite a chunk of it. We're still within the 50. We're making sure that we align our bonuses with the date that we plan to launch to make sure that we remain in the 50 billion. So I know everyone's doing calculations, etc. There's some nuances in there. For now, I can just assure you we're within that. If we go over that we're not going to go over that because we're calculating quite carefully. If we did, we will let everyone know and we'd have to make adjustments. But at this stage, we're okay. So no need to worry about that. We do appreciate everyone showing the concern and sending through various calculations. But for now, based on our planning, we're good on the 50 billion tokens. The next slide is the dApp miner. So just a recap on this. And I've popped up conversion ratio. So just a recap. So the last AMA, we talked about the fact that we had issued tap points which need to convert into BDAG. The number of tap points was considerably higher than we'd initially envisaged. So initially we started with a published ratio of conversion from tap points into BDAGs of 200 to 1. As we started bringing in other win and spins and various initiatives, it started pushing those tap points out of it. We should have been quicker to communicate that tap ratio would change and what it would change to, but we didn't. So that's on us. I mean, we took out the 200, we removed that from the documentation, but we weren't very quick to sort of communicate it. So that is on us. So what we sat with was a larger number than we expected. We couldn't convert that at the actual 200 to 1. It's just not good for the project. Something to consider with the tap points is the tap miner was always a game that was played for free. So the initial tapping was free game. Obviously, there were bubbles that dropped, and you would tap on them, and you'd earn points. Then we started bringing in the spins, etc., and we allowed people to not buy spins, but we allowed people to buy BDAG and get additional spins as part of that. So it was always free. They never paid for the actual spins. So I just want to make that quite clear. It was always a free entry game, and we gave away a lot of tap points in the process. So we sit with a situation where we've got more tap points than we had envisaged, and we need to make sure that it doesn't. When we convert it into actual BDAGs, it's not to the detriment to the project. So what we've done is we've decided that we've allocated 2 billion BDAG for the tap miner. So we're converting all of those tap points in a ratio, and I mean, you can see them, and I'll talk through those in a moment. We're converting them in a ratio to get all the tap points into the 2 billion BDAGs that we've allocated for the game. Part of what was discussed previously was that there was going to be a 5-year lockup period and then a 3-year linear vesting period. Community, you guys out there were obviously not happy with that. 5 years in crypto is a long time. It feels like an eternity, and we recognize that. So what we've come up with here is a graduated or staggered set of ratios that change depending on your holdings. We've also reduced the lockup and the vesting, and I'll cover that in a moment. So the mechanics of this is it's a bit like tax tables. So the first 0 to 10 million tap points, we convert at the ratio of 200. So what's important is this covers probably 90%, I don't have the exact figures, but probably 90% of people that have played the game, they get their 200 ratio. So the people that have just played the game, they've done a few spins, they didn't go mad on anything, they get the 200 ratio. So we're quite comfortable that everyone at least gets it in terms of the effort they've put in. Once people started going above that, whether it was from getting the additional free spins or tapping excessively or using automated tapping or various things like that, then the ratio changes. So the first 10 million tap points get converted to 200 to 1. Then the tap points from 10 million up to 100 million, those get converted at 500. 100 to 1 billion, 2,000. 1 billion to 10 billion, 5,000. You can see that the table there, 10 billion to 50 billion, 15,000 to 1. And then anyone over 50 billion, they get converted at 30,000 to 1. So the idea here was that for those of you who just played the game as a game, you get your 200. As time progressed and people earned a lot more through all these other initiatives, the ratio gets higher and higher. We've looked at everyone's return in terms of time, the effort, and also how much they spent to get these free tap points. And everyone, we believe, has done very well out of it. So we're happy that from an initiative perspective, you can all be very, very happy that you've put effort in and you've got a good return out of this. I think what's important, again, just to stress is we needed to find a balance that protects the project. We don't give away too many BDAG for a game that was effectively a free play to win game. In terms of the lockup, we've shortened the 5-year to 1 year, so I think that's a big positive. That's in line with all the other bonuses. So we thought, let's not create sort of different buckets of bonuses. We just make it all the same. And then it's also linear vesting over 12 months. So at least that's all tangible. It's not immediate, and that's good for the project, but it's only 1 year later. So I think, I mean, we're very happy that this is a good compromise for everyone. As I said, some of you'll get your 200. For the real entrepreneurs out there who really went mad, and well done to you. I mean, you did earn a lot of tap points. You still get a lot of BDAG. So I think we're all winners in this regard. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So the early investor bonus. So what we found when we really went into the details, it was a little bit of miscommunication, but also what we realized is the sheer cost of awarding the 150% bonus in a certain way was going to cost us more than we'd envisaged. So what we looked at was we decided instead of the mechanism that we talked about previously, we've gone with an average bonus. So the plan was to top up all investors, primarily the early investors, before the end of August. We would top all investors up so that their average bonus was at least 150% or more. And the rationale here was some people came through and said, well, we invested early, we don't have more money to invest, and now everyone's getting a better deal. And I mean, that's absolutely true, and it's not necessarily fair. So those investors, we felt we needed to top up. There were a lot of people who invested early, but they kept investing, and they've made use of every bonus that's come along. And their average bonus was, whether it was 200 or 300 or 400 or even higher. So there are people that were able to benefit from all the bonuses. So instead of also giving them the bonus, we worked out sort of the average bonus, and we said, well, let's top everyone up so everyone at least has earned 150%. And that average bonus, you can see below there that the calculation there is the total bonus coins that you earn divided by the coins that you actually paid for and bought. And that gives you your average bonus. So if you can look back, I know there's been a lot of queries around people feeling that they didn't get the right numbers. If you can do the calculation based on this, if you still find that you weren't awarded the right numbers, then by all means send a ticket through. But otherwise, I mean, you should find that based on this scenario that everyone has been issued the right number of coins to bring them up to this average bonus of 150%. Moving on. So the audit, when we spoke last, Hellborn had been completed. Certic had been completed, but it wasn't showing on the website yet. So let's just start with Hellborn. So yes, that's completed, and we're busy in the planning stage for the next testnet full project audit. I did mention previously that full project audit is not just the smart contracts. I mean, it's a small part of the chain. There's obviously the full chain. There's all the tools around it, etc. There's the consensus mechanism. It's the mining mechanism. So all of that needs to be audited. So we're busy with that planning. So that's from a Hellborn perspective. On the Certic side, as I said, the testnet audit had been completed. It wasn't showing on their dashboard. You'll see it is now showing on their dashboard. In terms of the section which shows the smart contract audit. We are busy with the team verification, which we had said was the next step. We've probably 2/3 through that. I'm hoping that in the next 2 to 3 weeks that is completed, and then that'll obviously show up on the dashboard. We are talking to them about a bug bounty as well, which we will kick off probably around the release of our next testnet. There's no point in going out with a bug bounty program now when we know we're quite aware of issues with the current testnet. So the next testnet is probably the timing when we'll turn that on, and it's again another factor that they look at on that dashboard of theirs. And then Certic, we'll certainly also use them for the final smart contract audits as well. So moving on to the X10, the miners. Just again, a recap for anyone who may not have been on some of the previous AMAs. The X10 is our engagement device. It's not a real miner, so it's not an ASIC miner. It doesn't contribute to the stability or the consensus of the network, and that's why although we talk colloquially that it's a miner, but it's effectively an engagement miner, a bit like the X1. So you get rewarded for being engaged. So this is the status of that. So our final prototype is completed. We're busy with final testing. We've got a bunch of devices which we're busy testing. That's in progress. We are expecting to go to bulk manufacture by the middle of the coming month. And that's, we anticipate 1 month, where are we, June, July? Yeah. Roughly 1 month for that. That's provisional, so we might need to confirm that, but that's what we're expecting, and then another half a month in terms of some of the logistics around packaging and getting it prepared for shipping, etc. So the good news is we're anticipating, hoping, planning to start shipping on the 15th of August. That'll take, given the numbers, and I think we're probably on 8 to 10,000 of those devices. That shipping is going to take us about a month. I mean, there's a fair bit of logistics around that, and obviously we're shipping those around the world. So I mean, that's good news. I've been very hesitant to give dates and anything like that until we were quite certain. So we're very happy that they provisional. Nothing's cast in stone, but I mean, we're fairly comfortable that these are dates that we can share with the community. There is a picture there. It's the prototype. On this, you can see the backing is actually plastic. In real life, it's an aluminium backing. It looks really professional. It's actually deeper as well than that. So, I mean, a very nice device. And actually, what's on the screen is also different to what you see there. We were hoping to have a little video, but we just didn't quite have it. The guys were busy preparing that, but we didn't have it in time. Yeah, so that's great news on the X10. And we look to the X30 and the X100, obviously our real mining devices, if you want to call it that, ASIC miners. So here's a picture of the mining device. This is the X30. I think more importantly, I mean, I think you've seen pictures. They are on the website. It looks roughly like that. So these are the specs. Again, I would call them provisional, although they shouldn't change. And I've been very careful not to make available any specifications, because we've done that in the past and they were wrong. And obviously that's just, it's not good for the community. So in putting this out, I'm going to say they're provisional, but it's unlikely there's going to be a change. So just to go through them. So this is the X30. From an algorithm perspective, you would remember, or some of you'd remember, that we went out saying that we changed it to KCAC, and that was the plan. We were working with another supplier or manufacturer, and that was the algorithm that they supported. Those conversations went quite far, and it looked pretty promising. But at the last minute, various things came to light, and it meant we had to pivot quite quickly. So we've changed to a different manufacturer. They use Blake 2S, but it's a customized version of that. So what's very important to us is that our algorithm can't be mined by other miners, and this is particularly important when a new chain launches. So you can imagine, let's say we launch and we've got just for argument's sake, 5,000 or 6,000 of these physical miners, and you've got a big mining pool with the same algorithm, and they take their 10 or 20,000 miners and they just switch them all over to our algorithm. Effectively, they'd have more than 51% hashing power, and they could effectively take over the network. So that's the reason why, as a new network, you don't want to go out with an open protocol. So Blake 2S is a common standard, but we've made custom changes to it so that no other miner can mine it. It also means that, as we've said in the past, our miners can't mine on other networks. So it works both ways. It protects our network, but it also prevents you from mining elsewhere. You can see the power consumption, 290 watts, connections, operating power, temperature. The power supply there is 12 volt, but we have a power supply as well. So there's a spec for the power supply, which means that it supports 110 up to, I think, 250 volts as well. So it's an international power supply. So that will be included. So the spec just needs to be changed to include the power supply. In the next week or two, as soon as we absolutely final and we're confident that these are the final specs, then we will actually publish these. We'll put them on our wiki and our dev documentation. No doubt a bunch of you will be recording this. We'll obviously put the video out as well. So I mean, you have this, but just to again confirm that these are provisional until we go out with an official one. Okay. Actually, this, excuse the heading. It's actually the X100. So again, custom Blake 2S, exactly the same. The hash rate on this is 5 terahash. Sorry, the X30 was 1.5 terahash, and this is 5 terahash. So it's sort of 3.3, just over 3.3 times more powerful. Power consumption is 1600 watts, and most of the other specs are pretty much the same. So as once again, provisional. We'll put this out as soon as it's confirmed, and we've confirmed it. So everyone obviously wants to know when we are shipping these. That's one of the most important things. So again, these are provisional, and everyone's gone straight to the last date, obviously. So let me just work through it, and then I'll caveat the last date. So the final prototype, it's completed. Our final testing is in progress. We've got a couple of devices in offices in Cape Town, in India, in Dubai, in various spots. So we're busy with testing. As we said previously, the plan is, so we've got some devices, but because these are hardware devices, we need to test this with more devices. So we talked, and we're going to be shipping 100 units to early community members. There was a mechanism for people to sign up, and I think the intention was to give other node operators that had already run a node, we were going to give them preference. If you want to know where to sign up for that, you can ask on the communities, and they can direct you. I'm not sure if we've sort of already chosen our 100, but there might be spaces still available. We're hoping to start shipping those at the end of June, and those will be roughly coinciding with our next beta release. So by the time you get them, the next beta will be out, and that beta release will also then be compatible with these miners. So the timing will be sort of aligned with that. So those will be the first 100, which is obviously a massive step for us. It means we'll have 100 around the world, all testing the network. That's absolutely crucial. We can't go from the 15 devices. Actually, we've got about 12 devices at the moment. We can't go from 12 to 5,000 devices. We have to do a sort of a step in between. Then we go to bulk manufacturer. I mean, we've started the process of that, so some of the steps are in place, but obviously we can't go too far until the testing has been done on the 100 units. And then based on that and the timescales there, you can see we're hoping to start shipping sometime in September. That shipping process will also take time. We're hoping and we're working with the manufacturer to bring these dates back a bit. There's also licensing in terms of FCC licensing that also needs to be done. So there's quite a few things that are happening in parallel, plus the testing. So it's quite a tricky sort of tightrope that we're walking at the moment, knowing that we need to get these out and shipped as soon as possible. But yeah, so again, we've held off on any dates for anyone until we were reasonably comfortable. We're happy with our supplier. We're busy finalizing contracts. Also to mention, I mean, people are questioning sort of, is the supplier legit? Is this just a lot of lip service? So we're shipping the 100 units, and those will go out quite soon. As soon as we've signed up with the supplier, we'll also go with a partnership announcement from ourselves as well as the supplier. So that'll go out, and obviously you'll all have that. And then we'll start feeding out more details in terms of obviously the specs, etc., etc. I think that is everything I'm going to cover. I'm going to hand over, but Nick's probably going to be most upset with me with the next slide. So this is a bit of an.
I can just see it already.
It's a bit of an internal joke. You could see someone obviously climbed into one of the AI tools and took one of our space pictures and added Nick to it. So anyway, it's a little bit of a laugh. That's Nick, our spaceman.
That's certainly doing the rounds at the moment. So I'm very grateful for someone that put that together. So it's all good.
Yeah, if you can drive the slides, just because I can't see, you can just click yourself through mine.
I can. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
okay.
You do that. I'll leave you to run that.
I can certainly do that. Hi, everybody. I'm Nick van der Berg, the CMO of BlockDAG. Sorry, I'm still laughing. I just love that there's this community out there that takes the time to put these types of images together. So very, very well received. What I wanted to cover today was really just give everybody a bit of insight into what's been happening from a marketing perspective, and certainly the enjoyment that we've had, Anthony, on the travels that we've embarked on. And I think, seeing some of the messages from the community, certainly we had an incredible time at ETH Canal. And that was really in partnership with some unbelievable businesses and individuals that made this happen. I must just give a shout out to Stephen, who's part of our team and who put on an unbelievable event as ETH Canal, and also the whole entire team there of all the various companies from Redfire to our partners now Betsky and various other incredible individuals that participated not only in this event to make this happen. I've met some unbelievable colleagues, friends now over the course of what was essentially 4 to 5 days. And the Space Dev guys, wow, amazing to have met you guys, and just a few others to mention. But what an incredible event. And what I really wanted to showcase here was that this was then followed up with our foray into Token 2049. I'm actually going to go back to the ETH Canal event in a minute, and apologies for everybody that speaks English. It was all in Spanish. Well, a lot of the hackathon event was in Spanish, but I'll cover that in a minute. So I hope you have Google Translate. But we had an incredible time at Token 2049. So for those of you that weren't able to attend these events, we certainly had an action-packed agenda. Anthony got to speak within the one breakaway event, which was really interesting. And we had a lot of conversations centered around our upcoming listing partners, as well as just really familiarizing ourselves with the landscape that now is just rapidly expanding and growing from all various different geolocations, as well as obviously some unbelievable businesses that we were able to see, and hopefully we see them building on our mainnet solution as and when we get to that point. So what an incredible event. Just so you guys know, we're also going to be looking at attending Singapore, so Token 2049 in Singapore. So can't wait for that. Look out for our booth. Hopefully it rivals Anthony, the same size as SpaceCoin, that had an incredible booth at Token 2049. So really unbelievable. I move into the real impact that we had, and that was showcased at ETH Canal, and that was really centered around the hackathon event. An incredible participation, a few hundred actually, digitally as well as then physically at an event that took place in Panama. What an unbelievable country! What unbelievable hospitality, and certainly saw some incredible projects that came through the fore. We do have a full list of all of the attendees of the hackathon. So congratulations to yourselves. All these various projects just highlighted the innovation within the LATAM market, certainly centered around innovation on, looking at ways of being able to highlight how people vote within certain jurisdictions, countries, locations. Unbelievable ideas also centered around like transparency. Further to that, various showcases of certain quests and quite a lot of fun interaction with various use cases. Great to see these guys and what they delivered on a swap solution utilizing our chain technology. So really unbelievable. Congratulations to everybody that participated. I mean, it was really a showcase and unbelievable innovation. I think what I wanted to then cover was one around why community is the real innovation for this business. And what does that mean? It means that yourselves that are participating in this AMA, obviously the early investors, the current investors that have participated in our pre-sale, thank you so much. We've got, an incredible journey ahead. I'd urge you to, go and see what's available right now in terms of the opportunity to continue purchasing the BDAG token as we gear up for the various exchange listings that are going to take place in the coming months. And what do we believe is that, code is obviously very essential to this business. We're building on an incredible layer one solution that looks to scale utilizing the DAG offering. And I can't wait for that to come through the next version of the test nets and then get to mainnet. Our team are working incredibly hard behind the scenes, not only from a marketing perspective, but also from a technology one. So unbelievable effort on everybody's part. And the community for me is obviously everything. Excuse me. And I think for us, why I'm saying all of this is that we're really going to be starting to gear around and commit to an incredible journey, as you know. And, for us, what is really, really important is that we're not necessarily selling hype. We're selling access to what is going to be an incredible launch and what is going to be an incredible value proposition within the crypto space. What does that mean? That means that we've got a number of announcements that are taking place. So watch out for those announcements within the next 15 days. This is obviously highlighted on the website. So there's some credible opportunities still to participate in our pre-sale environment. But what I've been waiting for is today to announce that part of this community investment, we're going to be launching a Connect program. And that really is going to allow for community participation, not only in terms of being able to buy into this incredible ecosystem that we're launching, but more importantly, empower yourselves to be able to share what essentially is the BlockDAG story and the BlockDAG love across the globe. So look out for that. This is an imminent launch that is going to be taking place, and it's certainly going to empower everybody that is participating in the BlockDAG community. I love how they've our designers have positioned our spaceman on the beach. Really enjoying participating within the community. So very exciting times ahead. Look out for the preeminent launch of the BlockDAG Connect program. That's really going to take not only the crypto world by storm, but really build strength in the community and facilitate really a global phenomenon in being able to build organizations as well as participate within our ecosystem. So something to watch out for. And I can't wait to highlight when that is going to take place. So it's going to take place within the next coming weeks. So look out for it. There's going to be some big announcements. We're going to have some incredible engagement from various podcasts and the like. We're going to have a whole KOL campaign and really kind of build this out into what is going to be a force within this ecosystem. Further to that, you certainly are in the right place and you are loved and certainly belong here. So thank you very much for everybody that has attended tonight. See, Anthony's just joined us again, and we're going to flick into 9 minutes of a Q&A. So, Anthony, it was great to be able to obviously share what you and I went through from an eventing perspective. Look out for Singapore. We're going to be big and bad at Token 2049 in Singapore, and that's obviously going to gear up for our TGE. More importantly, thank you to everybody that participated in our hackathons. We've got a whole series of engagement that's going to take place. And then, you know, the big announcement certainly going to be this Connect program that's going to connect the community, allow for there to be this build from what is going to be one of the most successful projects within the Ethereum ecosystem. So thank you for joining this evening. And I'm going to flick into the last slide, which obviously is the Q&A. And I see that there's been quite a lot of chat that's taken place over the last little while. Anthony's already covered most of the components, if not all of them, around the specifications. And I'm sure, Anthony, we can obviously broadcast those now that we've put that live into the AMA. As per last AMA, I'm going to take over with some of the questions that come through, the repetitive ones, and I can then deal with that by answering, as I did over the previous AMAs, in short little video bursts. So that really would then help that you can reference back to what those questions were that is recurring on an ongoing basis. So certainly here to help and looking forward to the next couple of months as we gear up for our mainnet launch.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Nick. Thanks for sharing all of that. Yeah, we're certainly keen to find out more about the spaceman on the beach. That's certainly a very exciting initiative. So I think you and I look forward to sharing more about that in the coming days or weeks, depending what your schedule looks like there. We've enabled the chat. What it did do, which I've realized now, is in turning it on, it actually cleared. So we've turned on the chat and it's cleared what was in there. So if you can post your questions again, it also makes it easier. Otherwise, we had a lot in there which we'd have to then rewind and go back to the beginning. So Nick, if we can just go through and take questions out of the growing number there. I'll take one or two and then hand over to you. So there's a question regarding the launch price of $5 How can you guarantee this price? So the short answer is we can't guarantee it. I mean, there's no guarantee in this world. It's a price that we've always stuck to, and that's our intention to launch at that. It depends on the market. I mean, if there was strong advice from, for instance, the exchanges or the market makers, we would reevaluate that. But right now, I mean, that's our intention, and we're sticking to it. So let's. I think that's firm enough for now. The one thing we didn't chat about, and I mean, there's a question here about the exchanges. Is
Yes.
the great news is we've got 5 exchanges that we've secured. We are working with some of the bigger exchanges. One thing to realize is with the bigger exchanges, you can't do pre-announcements. So and to be transparent with everyone. We haven't secured any. It's a process and it takes time. And you also can't start too early as well. They're not necessarily interested in talking to you if you're too far off from your launch, because they don't want to spend that time yet either. So we've started those engagements. It will take time. We can't announce those until we actually launch. So that's when you'll find out who the bigger ones are. Any other smaller ones as we go, obviously those announcements will come out as and when we can announce them. And bear in mind, again, even some smaller ones don't allow pre-announcement. But I mean, overall good news. We've got 5, and we're working hard on the rest.
I think I'll pick up a number of the questions here, and I think for everybody, obviously, there's a few questions pertaining to the various bonus incentives, etc., the giveaways, and some calculations being made, Anthony, on what we put forward from a tap miner perspective. I think prudently, just to let everybody know, those questions I'll definitely put into a short excerpt after this AMA during the course of tomorrow and Monday, Tuesday, and then we can then share that, because that would then just give everybody a reference point back to what's been answered previously during the last hour. So certainly we'll address those particular questions. Just to answer things like the Singapore event, what's happening from an eventing perspective, I think for us, certainly attending these various events is very fruitful. We get to reaffirm partnerships, as Anthony's just said now, reaffirming what our listing strategy looks like with market makers as well as the bigger exchanges. So it's always fruitful to attend a number of these events globally. We will be attending Singapore Token 2049. That is close, if I believe, Anthony, to September. I just have to go and check the dates to be sure.
First and 2nd of October.
Yeah, sorry, October. I meant the end of September, sorry. When we're traveling, it's only like a 2-day, 48-hour affair. So, yeah, it is, sorry, apologies there for the incorrect date. But that is in October, so really looking forward to that. I see there's still some questions pertaining to the mining solutions that obviously we've now highlighted that we have specifications for the X30 as well as the X100. We'll make sure that is then available so you can then go through those specs. Some of the questions that are also coming up are around the voltage, and I know that was also included in the specifications that we highlighted earlier in the slides. Also, just for everyone's benefit, this is also going to be available on our YouTube channel. So if you want to refer back to the video recording, that will then also be made available in the video. So you're able to then go back and refer that in terms of all the questions pertaining to the devices, as well as obviously the X10 device that is really an engagement mining solution. So look out for that as we get closer to shipping. We've got a few of those, as we've said, in the office, and it's really great to see that you can plug that into your machine, not so, Anthony, and all the wall, and you've got this really high efficacy unit that you're able to engage with. So yeah, well done to the team to getting that off the ground.
Okay, thanks, Nick. A couple of questions on launch date. As we've said, towards the end of the year. I mean, so very clear, we'll make it very clear that obviously we're not going to, and we can't launch before everyone's got their miners. So, I mean, that's obviously gives you some information. So don't worry that based on the shipping date, you're worried you won't have your miner in time. We'll make sure everyone's got the miners. The simple fact of it is we can't launch the network until everyone's got their miners. Otherwise, well, the network can't function. So we need the miners out there. We need you guys to have it and have them running. So we'll make sure that happens. And as I said, we're trying to bring those dates earlier, but there's still quite a bit that has to happen. But yeah, we'll communicate as we know.
So getting a question here, Larry. I'm not too sure the resolve here. Are you referring to a plugin, or are you referring to a plug in as in a piece of software, or you're referring to a physical plug. I don't know. If you wouldn't mind, you can certainly send that request through to our support team with details, and they can answer that question. Or if not, I can try and see if there's many questions pertaining to that within this chat come tomorrow, and then answer accordingly. I'm not 100% certain on that particular question, but I just thought that I'd better just address it, as it's come up a few times in the moderator chat.
Okay, so we've got a tech question from Keen, which is BDAG's or BlockDAG's technology genuinely innovative, or is it a derivative of the existing projects like Casper? So, I mean, we need to give credit where credit's due. The BlockDAG is based off GhostDAG protocol and Phantom and various other papers that were written. So, I mean, we've benefited from that, from work that was done prior to us. We've benefited from obviously what Casper's done. We've learned what we can from them, but we are innovating. So, I mean, a key difference between us and Casper is Casper doesn't have EVM. We do have EVM, which is absolutely crucial. They're pitching themselves more as sort of a digital silver link relative to Bitcoin's being a digital gold. So they're more of a currency, whereas we're obviously we positioning ourselves as a fully functional chain with EVM and programmatic abilities. We've also the next testnet, we're actually removing
UTXO.
UTXO. So that's a component. So Casper's whole chain works on UTXO, which is a way of accounting for or keeping track of the balances. And we're moving over to a pure EVM equivalent of UTXO. So that's quite a change from Casper. And the inclusion of EVM is no small task either. So, I mean, there's been a lot of effort around that. So yeah, we recognize Casper's ahead of us, and they've been groundbreaking, and we only aspire to be as good as them and as fast as them, and we've got catch up to do. So they certainly guys that we look up to, and we're chasing them, but we've got a bit of catch up to do. So we'll give them a lot of credit there.
Just one or two last questions before we wrap up. I see that there's, a recurring theme around various components to do with mining, as well as then other questions around, day to day, and we can then certainly answer those questions in various shorts that I can put out over the course of the next week. So be rest assured, I certainly will do so over the course of the week, and make sure that I collate all these various questions into 5 or 6 different main themes, and I'll put that out there into our YouTube channel. So not to worry, I'll make sure that is the case. And I think we're out of time for the AMA, Anthony, and unless you want to cover.
Yeah, let me just
points.
Sorry, Nick. I think I just want to cover the tap miner conversion again.
Okay.
That I think is quite important. So there've been a couple of questions on that. So the table that we showed you is progressive. So if you have, and Nick, if you want to switch again to that slide, yeah. You should be able to just.
Oh, sorry, I could have just scrolled here. Sorry, my bad.
My bad. No worries.
I could have just done that.
Okay, so if you're holding, let's say you're holding 50 million tap points. So your first 10 million tap points will convert at 200 to 1. And then the tap points from 10 million, and then the next 40 million tap points will convert at 500 to 1. And obviously the same applies as you go down that table. So that's why I say it's a bit like a progressive tax table. So you can take that table, you can work out as you drop down each portion of it, and you can work out what you should get, and that'll give you the numbers. We will, as part of what Nick was saying, we'll go out with a FAQ on this, and we'll just make sure that that's quite clear as well. So we'll give 1 or 2 examples. I think that's the best.
I think that's the best. I mean, if you like, just what pops in my head, if you had 101 million tap points, you would then obviously be able to do the ratio of the first 10 million at 200, the next tranche from 10 million and 1 to 100 million, and then obviously from 100 million and 1 would then obviously equate to the 2000 ratio. So I think that's probably going to be the best. Put in the ratio for everybody. So just do some examples, and yeah, it would be very then simple to work out for those of you that are asking that question. Yeah.
Okay. There have been a few questions, and I was hoping to be ready to cover it, but we're not quite ready. And that was around the restructuring that was mentioned previously. So we're busy with we've been through an audit in terms of our structures, the legals, all of those sort of things, and we're busy with a restructuring that was off the back of that that audit exercise. And yeah, as I said, I was hoping that we would have everything in place. Parts of it in place, parts aren't yet. So there's no point in sort of giving you half a story. So I'm hoping in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that'll be available, and then we'll make that available on the website and other channels. And that's it'll include more than one entity, and it's some fairly sort of lengthy considerations around selling into the US and selling into different regions, etc. So we've had to be sort of quite nimble around that. Also to just make sure that we don't adversely affect everyone who's purchased, and we're trying to avoid having to go through sort of full KYC in terms of all the investors. The last thing, what wouldn't be fair to investors who've put money in, is that at the end they have to go through a KYC. So as part of the restructuring, we're trying to avoid that. And there might be elements that need to go through. There might be a need for certain values that go through KYC. We've always said that there was a possibility. But part of the restructuring was to make sure that the implications or the impact on our broad token holder base is limited. So that's what we're trying to do. And that was part of the reason for the whole restructuring, and obviously preempted partly by the fact that Seychelles was changing their regulations, and obviously MiCA was coming in as well. So those are all being considered, and we'll publish something around all of that in terms of how we remain regulated according to Europe and MiCA and other regulatory regimes. And I think, I mean, there are more questions. We'll take out the more pertinent ones that obviously have been posed by quite a few people, and we'll put, as Nick said, we'll put something out. But I think, I mean, from a time perspective, I think we're over time already. So, I mean, from my perspective, well, from my side, just want to first thank Nick for joining me on this. Great to have you here. Thank the rest of the team who are silent in the background, doing all the good stuff to make this. To bring this project to fruition. The next AMA, we will have Robert on, and he'll be presenting the remainder of the roadmap. So he'll take you through the plans for the DeFi components and the chain and various other things that we're busy with. So I mean, that'll be that's something to look forward to. We're also planning another technical session with Maurice, who's our in-house advisor and academic. So he'll be taking you through an academic presentation. We'll let you know on that, and that's probably in the next week or two. So yeah, and actually we're hoping to get into a cadence of almost weekly presentations, not necessarily all AMAs, but technical or AMAs or product presentations or even partner presentations talking about things like multi-sig wallets and MPCs. So some of them will be broadly, they'll all be relevant to us, but some of them will be partners that we're working with. So that's our intention in getting up to sort of a cadence of weekly from a presentation perspective. So yeah, thanks very much from myself. Nick, I'm sure you want to say a few words, and then we're going to finish off.
No, absolutely. Thanks, Anthony, and thanks for everybody that has posed questions and participated in that process. As I said, I'll then highlight the various themes as I did last AMA and put that out. I know that there's a number of pressing questions that come through that are specific to individuals from a support perspective, as well as obviously overall on various components that we covered. Make sure that that is then addressed. Just saying, look out for some big announcements that are going to come out in terms of our Connect program. Really excited about that. It's really going to set the crypto world on fire, as well as the community. So looking forward to, the next couple of weeks and months. And more importantly, as you said, Anthony, I think, the cadence of communication is really exciting. Not only obviously dealing with the AMA style contribution, but more importantly, obviously, some really great initiatives that we have and are putting forward from a academy perspective, and obviously a visionary one, as well as obviously what's happening from a project point of view. So looking forward to the next couple of weeks on that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nick. Thanks to everyone for joining, for attending. As always, we appreciate you spending your time. We love having you here, and we look forward to the next one. Thank you.
Awesome.
Goodbye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheers, everyone.